Now we're going to move on and start looking at assembling the Y-axis gantry plates. So this is one of the Y-axis gantry plates, and a few things before we tear this apart and rebuild it. You'll have the M5 by 45 millimeters going through, and for the top row you will have the standard spacers from the wheel kits on the 4 top wheels. And then as we rotate to the bottom, you'll have eccentrics for all of these spacers. So the 4 top wheels, standard spacers, 3 bottom wheels, you'll have the eccentrics. And we will be right back with this torn apart. So now we have the Y-axis plates torn apart, and we're going to build those back up for you. What you're going to need here is the gantry plate for the Y-axis, along with what we're calling the eye support for the Y-axis. You will need 7 M5 by 45s, 7 M5 nylocks. You'll need 8 of the 1/4-inch aluminum spacers that come in the wheel kits, 14 of the precision shims, and 7 V-wheels. So to start off, we're just going to take these 7 bolts and drop them through. And we can take this plate and flip it over. So on the top row you're going to put a 1/4-inch spacer. On the bottom row you are going to put the eccentric spacers, again with the flat down, the way that we are assembling here. And you'll also want to make sure that shoulder is seated into the gantry plate. Then you'll take your precision shims and you'll put 7 of them on here. So each bolt gets a shim. Really need something better to put these in. And then you'll take your V-wheels. Each bolt gets a V-wheel. And sometimes, it's a good example, the precision shim inside the V-wheels will cause this to kind of hang up. If you just rotate it around, give it a spin, it'll drop right down. And then we will follow up the V-wheels with another set of precision shims. Now that we've got the shims on there, do the standard spacer on the top 4 wheels. And then follow up with eccentric spacers on the bottom 3 wheels. Again, you'll want the flats down. You'll come over top with the support brace and just kind of line that up. And then each nut and each bolt gets an M5 nylock. You can pinch it all together, stand it up, and tighten up your bolts. So one thing you'll notice is that these will like to shift on you, so you want to tighten these slowly and make sure that everything stays square. It'll be very important when we actually go to put this on the y-axis so that you've kept everything square. That way all wheels will be touching the y-axis at the same time. And we'll tighten these up. And before you really tighten these down, again, you'll want to make sure that your eccentrics are seated and that the flats are on this bottom side down here. Now that the plate is finished, we'll attach the motor. You'll take your M5 by 20s and you'll need 4 1/8" spacers. You'll actually take and drop your bolts into the slots for the motor mount. And you can flip these, add your 1/8" spacers, to each of these, and then you'll actually come through and at this point you want to check where your wire is. So the wiring on the standard build will come up and actually through this hole here to the electronics that are riding on a support beam on the y-axis. So you want to make sure just to kind of keep that wiring towards the back. If it's on the bottom or the top, it's not really a big deal. Just really don't want it on the front because that makes you loop your wire around and causes issues. So once those are on, just put your M5 nylocks, get them started. Once you get those started, you'll just tighten them down, and that is your y-axis. And that gives you the final y-axis gantry plate. The second plate is built exactly the same way.